Looks like there's an email from Sam saying he needs the link, the Zoom link or something.
I just resent it
Okay.
like 10 minutes ago. Is the problem.
Sharon,
Hi, Tim.
can you see me?
I cannot.
Okay. Let me see what happened here.
There you are, but I don't see you. Oh, there's Sam.
I just came on, but it said the host isn't letting me in, so I can't get my video to go. But I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Sharon, there might be something on your side for the video that's not.
I don't want to fool around with stuff too much.
Okay, yeah, it looks like.
Cannot start the video because the host has stopped it. That's the note I get.
Right. And what I just said was, I don't want to start fooling around with something that that's going to take us where we were last time. Oh, wait, hold on. How about, no, that's,
Bless you.
Thank you. Testing the audio here.
It's working.
Well, I can see Bill. I don't see anybody else. Are we the only two people that are here?
No, we've got Sam, Tiff, Don. everybody.
Okay, I can't see any of those people on my screen.
So-
The video feed's not working, Claire.
Oh, that's the video. Okay, thank you.
can I just tell you that, okay, so even though Tip has not officially started the meeting, we are in a recording mode.
Yes,
Okay.
by the way, Sharon,
Yes.
it said here that I cannot start my video because the host has
We just
stopped
had
it.
that conversation. You can still see, I mean, you can still see, right?
But you blocked the video.
I have not purposely blocked you. There's
Yeah, I
something
know you haven't.
on
Yeah.
the computer. And I'm not going to fool around with anything because of the last time. So
Okay.
during the meeting, I will try to locate one of our IT people. But for the time being, this is the way it's going to be.
All right, that's not a problem.
Thanks.
Can we?
Are we saying that Bill is not the host then?
No,
Okay,
No, I'm a co-host.
okay.
he's a co-host. Your pictures won't be up on the screen until I can find an IT person. What I'm also,
Got it. Well, you can hear us though. That's good.
yeah, thank you, Sam. What I'm also saying is we're being recorded. So all this conversation could be going online soon. So this is what is happening right now.
Yes, understood.
Thank you.
So let's see, do we have a quorum?
I believe so. We have John, Sam, Bill, Dawn, Claire, you, and Dave Mendro won't be attending today. So
All right.
we can start the meeting whenever you'd like to.
Yes, let's welcome everyone. I would like to start the July 9, 2020 meeting of Montecito Board of Architecture Review to order. The first item on the agenda is public comment for items that's not on the agenda. Sharon, do we have anyone in the audience who would like to address the board?
We do not, Tiff. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm to close and going to agenda status report.
Thank you. We, as I just stated, Sam, Dave Mendro will not be attending today. And we have one item that I'm going to leave up to you to whether to continue or to drop. It was continued from the last meeting and it's being continued again. So,
How many times has it been continued?
well, this will be the second time.
Item 5.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Item 5, the Lingham new detached garage.
So I would like to, I think we should drop it until the applicant is ready to come back. I just don't like the idea of holding a place at every meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
To be clear, I mean, we have never heard this project.
No, but it's been on the agenda.
I understand, but I'm just saying, to clarify, we've never heard this project, and, obvious.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to drop item number 5 from the agenda.
Thank you, John.
I will second that.
Thank you,
All
John.
in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carry. Thank you. All right, so moving on to the minutes. We are going to approve the minutes of June 25th, 2020. So, Mr. Watson, you have any comments?
I do. Item number 1, comment number 1, actually I have 2 comments about this. So at the end of the first line, I think it should read, due to easement on adjacent, and I think we should add, in parentheses, northerly. So that it's up both to the north and the west property line, so I think we should clarify that that's easement is to the north. And then towards the end of that, or other similar encroachments in vicinity development, including neighbor property to the west. I believe, the question that I have is, we don't know that. We thought that was what was represented to us by the applicant, but we did not do a site visit. We did not have official records of that. How do we want to deal with that, just in case this project gets appealed?
We can take that off.
Well, I don't know. I'm asking the board. We did discuss it. That was one of the items that was made, or one of the comments that was made on why it was appropriate up there. But I just want to make sure that the board is clear in case this gets appealed, so that our record is correct about what the board actually did.
Well, based on my understanding, based on the Google map, the property to the west does show, looks like.
I didn't see it on the Google Maps. It was underneath some tree or something.
It is on Google Maps. It's just because it's at the roof material is similar to the asphalt material, so it kind of blends in.
Okay, so the board is comfortable with us making our decision based on that.
Yeah, and from my understanding, from what I remember on the site plan, actually it did show that there was an encroachment easement, and that was shown on the plan.
And the question, okay, that's fine. I just wanted to get very clear about that. I don't know if they're going to appeal it or not, but I want to make
Well,
sure.
the appeal period already came and went if they did appeal it.
Okay, very good. So,
So John, going back to your first comment, I'm just looking what you had due to easement on adjacent and then in parentheses northerly property. Is that what you said?
yes, I think so. I think it would help clarify our minutes. You got that, Alex?
Yep.
Okay, item number 2, please. Comment number 3. Head should be more undulating rather than formal given neighborhood setting. That is my personal opinion. I did ask them, they said it was purposeful what they did. I want to make sure that the board feels it should be undulating or whether or not it should be as depicted. And I don't remember what the board said.
I think we were talking about it being informal, which would be undulating.
So does everybody else agree?
Agreed.
Okay, very good, thank you. So the minutes are correct as presented, Alex. Item number 4, comment number 4, land use issues. I think we should change the word beyond to outside. And then comment number 5, driveway needs to be as quiet as possible and blend into the hillside. What does that mean?
That's
think-
better than the romantic.
I mean, it is what it is. We've reviewed this project, I don't know, 4 times, 5 times. I don't understand. I think that item should, comment number 5 should be struck. Anybody else agree with me? Okay, sounds like it's going to stay in there. Okay, item number 6. Comment number 2.
Oh,
One
sorry.
member suggests tapering, and I'd like to take out the word tapering of columns and put in using columns with, and I did look up the pronunciation, Don, entasis.
Correct.
And Alex, it's E-N-T-A-S-I-S. E-N-T-A-S-I-S.
So one member suggests using columns with entasis.
Yes.
And restudy chimney. But that's only one member. That was me, nobody else. But the minutes do correctly reflect that. And so that's all I, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John. Anyone else has any comments?
None for me.
None for me.
I would like to move for approval of the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carry.
I was absent from that, so I'll abstain.
Abstain, one abstain.
I think the minutes are clear that both Bill and I were not there, so.
Okay, so moving on to Amber members' informational briefings. Anything from anyone?
Nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
Zero for me. Nothing.
Okay. So now staff update. Alex?
I don't have any updates to offer.
Okay. Thanks. And now we are on to, we don't have any consent items today, so we're
Correct.
to the standard agenda. And I would like to call item number 1409 Schoolhouse Road. Is the applicant online?
I am. Can you hear me?
Your name for the record, please.
Mark Winke.
And let's see now, Sharon, how come I can't see Bill's screen?
I don't know.
Are you not seeing it?
Because the video stopped, isn't on.
You're not seeing the FARs here? Yep.
I didn't see it.
I can see it.
See the FARs, absolutely.
I can see the FARs.
Okay, what did I do wrong here?
It's unfortunately on your side. Tip.
Oh, I got it. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, so let me see now. This item number 1. And please for conceptual review of an addition of an existing single-family dwelling for approximately 438 square feet and exterior remodeling of approximately 1,440 square feet. Can you briefly go through the vicinity map and show us where's the project, and then you can continue your presentation.
Where's your vicinity mark? I don't see that anywhere.
It doesn't look like it's in the package.
I don't see a vicinity map, but maybe.
Either.
Is that right next to
Schoolhouse
one?
Road. You know, when you go down Schoolhouse Road, you make that right. and it goes back down even further. That's the road on the left of the second picture here. You see my cursor moving?
That's fine. So please continue with your presentation.
Okay. Well, as you can tell from the existing pictures of the existing site, it's an old house, basically ranch L-shaped. And these are the neighbors to the left and right. They're all basically neighbors. Both neighbors are also ranches. And there are some big houses on the site, or down the street, I mean. But it's basically, well landscaped, lots of trees. Across the street is a lower section of topography, so there really is a drop off there. There's no houses really to be seen or even accessed, I believe. Adjacent, to go up the road a bit. And so there's the site and the topography. It comes up a little in the front here. The house sits, as you can see, and then it drops off towards the back. And then the very, very back, there's a considerable amount of slope. It's a big backyard. Can't really see any neighbors back there either. There's a neighbor to the left-hand side and a neighbor to the right. And as you can tell from this drawing, there's a little retaining wall that actually, because it steps in grade, this house to the north of it is actually higher. And then it steps down with this retaining wall into this location of the site. And the existing house is basically this kind of yellowish planked drawing section of the plan. The red area is additional added on, which is basically a hallway for the house, the new house. And a section up in the front here, which is laundry and a workout room, and the garage, right in that location where it says N garage, new garage. That area is where the existing carport is, which is being torn down in order to provide all this space. It is basically staying as a one-story house. Some beautification is being done to the exterior. A new roof. It's going to be a standing seam metal roof. The exterior is stucco and board and batten. It's very clean and sort of modern in an approach to that attempt, but very clean and traditional at the same time. And ranch style. So on this drawing the bottom shows the front elevation. And this existing fireplace is there. We're going to make it covered in stone so it has some more resemblance to some of the Santa Barbara stone that's in the neighborhood. The left-hand side is board and batten, currently being shown here, and it's going to be in a stained wood, natural wood look, kind of like a pecan or whatever. There you go on the right there, dark pecan. And the metal roof is a standing seam metal roof system and a metal gutter system. This section in the front, at the front door, is a small gable to give some keys to where the front door is from the street. And there you can see it in the rendering. The left-hand side is the garage in that rendering. There it is, a view from the left. To accommodate the parking that's required for the guest parking, it's on the right-hand side here. There's both a drive, it's like a U-shaped or C-shaped drive that you are able to come in and go right to the garage or come in this way and travel around from either side of the frontal entry. This is sloping up slightly, and there you can see the cars for guest parking. That's kind of it for the front, I think. Some additional landscaping where the existing landscaping is being removed for the driveway. In the back, there's a future swimming pool and deck being shown here, and some olive trees. And this area here that I'm circling is where the kitchen is, and that sort of has a little indoor-outdoor sliding window and access to the deck patio, I guess. And that's about it.
Thank you. Are you done with your presentation?
I think so. Any questions?
Yes, so back to the board for questions. Let's start with John.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Does the existing house have one driveway or two driveways?
It has one now.
And so you're proposing to add a full loop from the single driveway we now have?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, John. Claire?
Can we go back to the plan? Oh, I guess it's number, I think it's number 4, Bill. The one that has, yeah, that one. Can we see that one? I was wondering, so the existing, is it true that the existing house encroaches into the side yard setbacks?
Correct.
And oh, the other side, it's okay. Okay, well, that was my question, because John took my question away. I was going to have the same question with that. Then I noticed in your details, you were showing some light fixtures. It's unclear to me, those look like they have unshielded bulbs in them. Is that correct?
I believe they have a top on them to shield them, but I'm not positive at this point from those pictures. That's the style they want to go with.
Oh, that's not the actual fixture you're proposing.
Yeah, the style of the top part's shielded.
Yeah, those don't meet the lighting standards.
Correct,
So
yeah.
we'll have to
The
come
bulb
up
would
with-
have to be upside down there.
Yeah, it'd have to be tucked up underneath the hood.
Exactly.
Okay, those were my questions.
Thank you, Claire. Sam?
Yeah, thank you, Tip. With the new driveway moving through that horseshoe and coming out, are there any trees being removed? And is that slope going to require grading that might affect, the trees on the sides? Or how is it being nestled in there?
Yeah, I don't believe there's any large trees, but there is a bunch of trees in the front. As you can see, if you scroll across some of the frontal views, there are kind of some weird trees that are leaning over, and some are completely off to one side. And there's one really nice one here where it says view from PVT Drive right there. Is my circle doing anything?
Okay, so
No.
you're
So that one is
proposing to
right.
come through. You're proposing to come through that slope and remove some material, and then
To the right of that, yeah.
re-landscape that appropriately as another presentation of something, because you don't have a landscape plan that
Correct, no.
shows your frontage yet.
But for sure, yeah, as you can tell from the site plan here, there's a bit of slope. It'll come up the hill. And
Okay.
there's no proposed grading as far as a retaining wall yet at this point from at the bottom.
I guess that's it for questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Sam. Bill?
No questions.
Don?
Yes, one question. The new roof pitch seems to be steeper than the existing. I'm assuming that you're reframing the entire roof and so forth.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I think the original is 4 and 12, but the new one is a 612, probably a scissor truss.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So with that, I'm going to open public comments for item number 1. I see that we have 3 lists. Is that correct, Sharon?
I only have 2. I have the Briggs and
Online.
And green. I showed 3 here.
oh, okay. I just didn't print one out.
Yes, we have 3 letters from 3 neighbors, basically supporting the design, the project. Thank you, Bill. So those please have the 3 letters. Do we have anyone in the audience who would like to address the board?
Let me go to the attendees. I did see Mr. Brorin here earlier. I don't see him here now.
I'm here, but we've got no comments to make. Thank you.
You're here. Okay, I saw you pop up, but then you were gone. All right, great.
Yeah, we lost internet connection, but thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Right. With that, I'm going to close public comments and back to the board. Let's start with Sam.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't really have any problem with what I'm seeing right now. I think it looks like a nice single-story ranch style of high quality materials, and with the landscape plan kind of absorbing the driveway exit, I guess it would be, or entrance. I think this is representative of many homes in the Montecito community that are similar, and the single story is nice. Plenty of room on the site to do, backyard things that you want without too much grading. So I think the material selections and colors seem at this point nice. So I really have only support comments at this point. That's good.
Don.
Pardon?
Don.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I also appreciate the one-story solution. I would wish that the garage doors didn't face out to the street as they do. They're very prominent, and wondering if in lieu of adding a circular drive, to have one entrance near the center of the site, and thereby being able to landscape out those two garage doors and have guest parking in that general area and not have the two curb cuts. But other than that, I think it's
I don't know who.
a good solution.
Thank you, Don. Claire.
I see Glenn.
So here's the deal. I rarely disagree with Mr. Mathis, but Mr.
But that's
Don has jumped in here. I have a problem with these two curb cuts. We have guidelines that actually, and we do this all the time with people. We don't allow and we don't approve projects that have two cuts. And besides that, when you look at the mock-ups or the drawings they show, this literally creates a whole lot of paving in this front yard that I don't think is necessary. So I don't want two cuts. I would much prefer to have one cut. And as Mr. Sharp has talked about, is that the guest parking can then go where it is, and we don't need to have that second loop driveway. You can get in and out of this driveway without having to do that second cut there, which would then allow for what Mr. Sharp is talking about, screening those garage doors. So that's my main concern at this point, is I think the house is appropriate and lovely, and it's single story, and it fits into the neighborhood. But this giant paving that takes place is too much for me, and I can't support that driveway design.
Thank you, Claire. Sean.
Mr. Chairman, I generally concur with Don and Claire about the driveway, and I also agree that the house is very lovely, and I have no further comments.
Thank you. Bill.
Yeah, I tend to agree too about the driveway. Is there a way that you could, and I see Don's point to come in from this side. I mean, ideally, if you could reduce the parking and the paving and make this all green space over in this area, even better, but it doesn't solve the problem of blocking the view of the parking. So whatever you could do, I think, to reduce the paving, not have two curb cuts. I'm not sure the lot is the kind of size that you would normally have a double back two entrance type thing on it. And maybe there's a way to house the guest parking here and enter and walk into the house from that side and make this all green. But in any event, that would be my comments. The house looks fine. I don't have any problem with that. One item on the entry overhang, that just felt a little commercial to me. It's just that one eyebrow, and maybe it just needs to have some treatment. Maybe it's the address that maybe throws the commercial aspect in my brain to it. But anyway, it looks fine. It's just there's something about it that maybe it needs to be longer or overlap the entry. Anyway, just a comment. Otherwise, the rest of the house looks beautiful. I totally support the house the way it is. Thank you.
Bill, I do share most of the comments, especially the lot is not that wide, so I believe that if you can eliminate one driveway, that will be a big plus. That will give you more landscaping, better for the street, and take out some of the paving. And the only other comment I'd like to make is, Bill, can you turn to 202?
Oh.
That one.
That it? Okay.
Can you roll down to the front elevation?
Yeah.
I think the gable is fine, the front. I'm just trying to get you to the composition of the gable. The front doors are off center from the gable. Then you have two windows, one small one, one big one. But then the lighting are very symmetry. So there's some symmetry to the front, there's some unsymmetry with the front. And then I realized that if you look at your plan, which is a couple sheet above, you didn't show the that one. The roof plan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And when you look at the roof plan, I tried to understand the roof plan. The reason I couldn't understand it because you didn't show the chimney, which is the biggest chimney in the whole house.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, just a minor thing, but I'm just looking at the front composition. Sometimes, when you create a gable like that, which is a brand new element, you want to center the opening on the gable, which I think you can do easily if you want to. Or maybe that's your intention. It's just something that I thought is a little bit peculiar. But other than that, you see, you probably don't have the support for the two driveways. Would you like to come back to the full board for preliminary and final?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Is that okay with everyone? Want to see this?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I
I
agree.
did want to clarify something, if I could.
Please.
One person mentioned, I think it was Don Sharp, mentioned that pulling the garage out maybe, and I think he was saying rotate it even so that it came L-shaped to the front doors. That one probably would enter from the right-hand side driveway and eliminate the left-hand side driveway off the street. That's a correct statement that I'm making? And then the other option was to kind of leave it the way it is, but get rid of that left-hand side driveway anyways, and just come in off the right-hand side and then pull into the garage as
Exactly.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
taking out one driveway would greatly help the front aesthetic.
And do you think that the parking has to be, as it's shown here, which I've shown here, very distinct, or can it be parallel parking along the edge of the drive?
I think you should leave it to the applicant.
Okay.
I think you have to be able to get in and get out, so you have to turn around somehow.
It
and
is
not
tough,
back
yeah. I didn't get into that yet, but it's a little bit harder to get all that to work. And you have to get into the driveway while guest parking is there, correct?
out. Yeah,
So you can't use that for your backup
and
space.
cross over to the garage side with cars parked.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, however, you only need one guest parking space.
Okay, so let's wrap this item up and come back when.
Two covered, one uncovered.
So let's move on. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm zooming with you.
Thank you. We are on to item number 2. 57 Humphrey Road. Is the applicant online, Sharon?
Yes, I'm Sarah Bronstab with Vanguard Planning.
Sarah, thank you.
Yes, and if we could start with the full plan set there,
Oh, the photos.
and not the photos yet. Let's go to the plans and go to page 4, if you would.
So you are here for the first hearing for conceptual review of an as-built additions to the
Yes.
residence, or approximately 90 square feet. And I assume it's an as-built of the deck, or approximately 504 square feet. So,
So-
please.
May I start? Okay. So the nature of this project, as you can see on the top view there, is actually, it's a lot line adjustment project is how this initiated. As you can
Just a second,
see,
sir. Can you go back a little bit and just give us an idea where's the project?
sure. Okay, well, okay, why don't we open up the aerial photograph then? So go back to the photo.
Oh, here we go.
folder.
I see it. Yeah, we see
Okay.
it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So this
perfect.
is on the west side of Humphrey Road. Most of these houses were built in the early 1900s, mostly before 1940. They're predominantly modest-sized working class, single family and multifamily housing that was intended for, you know, working class rentals. This area is kind of lined with hedges and pretty dense, as you can see. So this house and the neighboring house, which we're going to talk about, that's item 3. So we're here to discuss basically these two houses that are sandwiched together somewhat. They were built before building permits were required, and the property lines were established without taking into account the conditions in the field, which is meaning the locations of the houses. So the purpose of this project, the homeowners got together and said, hey, if something ever happened and there was some natural disaster, a fire, you know, we would have to rebuild our houses in this really funky configuration. Let's do a lot line adjustment to, you know, make this right. So right now what you see, that dotted line right down the middle, that's the existing property line. And then the jogged dotted line is the proposed. So that's the existing. And then the one below that where it says proposed, it basically jogs around the existing houses. So that's really how this project got initiated. And this lot line adjustment project was approved, and a condition on that lot line adjustment is that we permit as-built improvements that have occurred since the houses were constructed in 1913 and 1914. So the first house we're going to talk about is 57, which is the front house. So if you could go back to page 4 now. So just to look at from this point of view, the blue areas are what we're talking about. And the brown areas are essentially, it's a deck that's below 30 inches. And then there's a rear deck that's essentially a back porch. But that blue area right off the back porch, that's just a closet. And then the area on the other side where the as-built deck is essentially a window seat and a little pop out of the laundry room and utility closet. So yeah, the next, let's see, yeah, zoom in on the right. Yeah, the proposed or the, there you go. So we're looking at no, I mean, I guess the laundry room portion could be considered habitable, but it's not living area that, has greatly been increased without permits. And the existing garage is shown on the assessor record as being original, though that, there wasn't common to have garages necessarily in 1913. But the footprint is shown that way. And right now, it's used as a garage, and the backyard is, you can see is pretty narrow. And along between Montecito Creek and the backyard is sort of what you see along Humphrey Road and along those rear property lines, which is this cobblestone wall that sort of lines that whole side bank of Montecito Creek. So yeah, looking through the photos, here's again an aerial view. And let's go to, yeah, aerial zoom, which is just, you know, again, that front house. There's the street elevation, kind of with, you know, seeing up over the hedge. There's the garage down the back. Here's the front little trellis, the front yard behind the trellis. This is near the back of the house where that wood back porch is. There's a spa there that's been put in. There's the garage. Yeah, so there's the rear yard and that rock wall that I was mentioning. And that's the back porch, air conditioning unit on top there. That's part of our permit request. And this is from the backyard looking back towards the garage. And next photo. This is the trellis that's part of our permit request that's over the deck on the northern elevation. And you could see that these little pop outs are what the you know, exterior elevation is of the utility closet and the, you know, pop out to the laundry room. And yeah, we could go back to the plans and go to page, let's see, let's go to page 6. These are the elevations, and the red dotted lines are highlighting the areas which, you know, you saw in the plan view. You know, the architectural style, since, you know, hasn't changed since the original construction. That's very compatible with the neighborhood. I would say these improvements are, you know, very reasonable additions and improvements to the house over, you know, 100 years. Yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Get back to the board for questions. Let's start with John.
Sir, I have 2 related questions. Number 1, is the lot line already been adjusted except for getting our approval?
No, so go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so a condition is of the lot line adjustment before it can record is that each of these 2 properties, 57 and 59, obtain their permits for these as-built additions.
But the actual land use portion of it
Has been approved, yes.
Okay, thank you. That's number 1. Number 2, are there 2 separate owners of these 2 parcels?
Correct.
What-
So we'll be talking about 59 in the next item, and it's owned by someone else.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, John. Claire?
I have no questions.
Thank you, Claire. Sam?
Are the fences and kind of the configuration of the lot line the way you proposed it in place, or are those to be constructed, the separations?
Yes. No, the fences are already at the locations, which they can be as part of this lot line adjustment.
So they actually configure on the new proposed lines now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. No other questions.
Thank you, Sam. Don?
No questions. Thank you.
You, Don. Bill?
Yeah, just a quick question. It looked like the photo of the backyard looking back at the garage. Does the back of the garage have sliding doors on it?
They're, I believe, if not sliding, folding.
Oh, they're like a bifold door, so it's kind of a flex sort of room.
Yeah, so we meet the parking area, and then there's like a smaller pop out, which is kind of like a storage area. And
off the side there, yeah.
Yeah.
So are they required to have garage park? I mean, it looks like it's a fairly narrow drive, and are they required to have, I guess you have to have off-street parking. I don't know if it has to be covered. Does it, Alex, does it need to be covered parking?
No.
It doesn't.
Not in the coastal zone.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, so we are going to open public comment for item number 2. Sharon, do we have anything?
Not for item 2.
Anyone in the audience? No, nobody in the audience? Okay, to close public comment and back to the board. So this item is here for conceptual. John, let's start with you.
I think this project is fine. I think that what's in place is in place. It looks like it's all consistent, and from my point of view, it should be moved on to preliminary final on consent. So I have no comments.
Okay, anyone else has anything else different?
I would like to agree with Mr. Watson. I think that this is an as-built. We have all the material to go ahead and move it into preliminary final on consent.
I agree too, as well.
I agree with John.
I agree with John.
Thank you. So we'll move this item to find preliminary final on consent.
Thank you.
And thank you. Okay, we like to, can we go back to item number 1 because there's one of the neighbors was online and we didn't have a chance to.
Elizabeth, are you still here?
Elizabeth Fowler. Yep. She looks like she's there, just needs to unmute her mic.
Elizabeth, can you unmute your mic?
Excuse me, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Elizabeth, I apologize. We skipped your letter for item 1. Were you present during the review?
I was, and I didn't have any further comments. We're really happy with the project. We're excited to have that house be restored and have a nice family there. So as I said in the letter, you know, we're curious about the roof heights, as long as as they line up with the information I received from Andrew and the architect, and that they screen that car parking area in the front. We don't have a problem with the driveway as it's shown.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
Of course.
So with that, I'm to close public comment for item number 1, and we can move on to item number 3.
Thank you. Apologize for that.
No problem.
Okay, so we're on to item number 3, 59 Humphreys Road. Is the applicant online?
Yes. Sarah Bronstad, I'm back.
Thank you, Sarah. So you can continue your presentation.
Sure. So this is the house that's at the back and also part of this lot line adjustment. You can go to, yeah, exactly. You're highlighting that area, but page 4 is a little easier because it's the color coded section is only what we're talking about there. So again, it's the areas in blue that are as-built additions, and then the brown areas are decks. Yeah, and in fact, I'm just saying, so there's an enclosed porch on the south side of this house. For some reason that used to be blue and I don't see that it's blue, but there's an enclosed porch there on that right there. That used to be on the original house built in 1914. That used to be the front porch, and at some point it was enclosed in. So you can see on the floor plan, it's grayed in. So basically it just, this was enclosed, and at the street elevation, the street side of the house, the blue area is essentially just a little bit of a pop out to the kitchens. There's a little bit of a dining nook there by the front porch. Yeah, let's go back to the floor plan. There you go. So the habitable space that was added is, on the street side, and at the rear elevation, which is towards the creek, there's a closet and water heater closet. And there's also a deck back there. However, we are removing that. Early consultation with flood control, it became clear that that was going to have to go. So that's part of our proposal is to, we can keep the front porch deck, but the back deck is going to get removed. And let's see here. Why don't we go, if you want to look at the floor plan a little further, we can. Otherwise, we could probably flip to the photos.
I think just go to the photos.
Okay, so here's the aerial. And the next slide would be the what you can actually see from the street, since it's set so far back down this narrow driveway lined with hedges. There's the original duplex, and when it was built in 1914, it was actually built as a duplex. So it's remains as a duplex. And the next photo, this little, pop out you see here, that's the front porch that was added, and then this a little dining nook off the kitchen was, kitchen was bumped out a bit, and then that's part of that addition on the front side. And on that, so we're just looking at that front, that one unit there that's on the north side of the duplex. This is their rear yard. So they have, again, this cobblestone wall runs along the creek channel bank, basically, but this railing is proposed for removal because it's also deemed by flood control as not something that they can approve within a floodway. So we're going to remove the deck and put in like a permeable ground cover material, and it will drop down so that rock wall will actually be tall enough to meet code. But then also back there, before you flip down that photo, if you can go back, there you go. So this, next to the double doors, you see this little pop out, that's the closet that was added to just so the room can have a closet. But the portable barbecue and the furniture and all that has to go because, again, that's a flood control requirement. And this next photo is the other unit, and this is the front door, and that is if you just, that narrow strip that you see me standing in is part of that enclosed front porch, and then the exterior of that enclosure adjacent to that. And this is the rear yard of this unit, the south side unit, and again, that fireplace is going to have to go, the portable barbecue, the furniture, etc. But that back portion of the house you see, that's part of the original house. That was the bathroom there. And again, the little closet you see next to the washer and dryer, that's the utility closet that we're seeking as-built permits for. And the next one, there was a 60 square foot storage shed. This is in front of the south unit. Actually, looks like if you click on the screen right there, yeah, this is where the original shed was. And so it was essentially expanded north, and it's given its location in the setback, we're going to have to remove all of it with the exception of the original 60 square feet. So that's also part of the scope of work. And I believe that's all the photos. I'm again available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Back to the board for questions. Or with Claire.
So everything was, so, but the 57 Humphrey, the one we first looked at, that's a single family residence.
Correct.
59 is a duplex.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, it was like, oh my God, these are the tiniest houses in the world, the tiniest.
Yeah, in fact on that.
Oh my God, why would anybody do that?
I know. In fact, on this last page there on the left-hand side, you can see the assessor record. This is the drawing of the duplex footprint back in 1914.
Oh, got it.
So yeah, that's how we were able to determine what was original and what was as built, because even you know, we had Post Hazeltine come in and sort of make an assessment here, and they tried to help us determine when some of these improvements were done.
Well,
They've been there a long time.
That was going to be my next question. Thank you. Do you know when these additions were done? These little pop outs here and there. Do you know when that happened?
Post Hazeltine's report included they were done sometime between I think it was 1940 and between 1992, somewhere in there.
Oh, okay. So not recent then. Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. John?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Don?
I also have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Sam?
Yeah, just to understand the site plan, it looks like there is encroachment on the west and north setback that's existing non-conforming, correct? That's the only setback, current setback violation, if you were to call it that.
Correct.
Okay, no other questions.
Thank you. Bill?
Yeah, is this the shed? I couldn't quite figure out is this the shed you were showing us in that photograph?
Yes, in the photograph, it's much larger. I'm
Yeah.
saying we're going to remove
Yeah.
all but the 60 square feet original.
So that stays, but wherever the rest of it was is over here, and that's going away.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's right on the property line, and that's historic and all that, so that's okay. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bill. So we're going to open public comment for item number 3, 59 Humphreys Road. Sharon, do we have anything?
No, we don't. Thank you, Chip.
And nobody online?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so close public comment, back to the board for comments. Let's start with John.
Same comment as before, Mr. Chairman. I think it's modest. I think that what they've done in the past is fine. And I think that what we should do is move this to preliminary final on consent.
Go for it.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. So
Thank
this item will come back on consent for preliminary / final.
Thank you very much.
You, good luck. Move on to item number 4, 289 San Isidro Road. Is applicant online?
Brian or Robert?
Hello, this is Brian Banks.
I'm here.
The owners.
Robert?
Hi
Okay.
there.
Thank you. So this item 289 San Isidro, first time conceptual review for new 2-story single-family dwelling
Whoa.
with a first floor of being approximately 6,467 square feet and the second floor of 894 square feet, detached garage of 502 square feet, detached garage of approximately 630 square feet, and a pool cabana of approximately 624 square feet. Robert, can you show us where's the vicinity map, and then we can begin the presentation?
I would go
on
to
the cover
upper
page.
left corner, but
Yeah.
Brian's going to
Upper
intro
left?
it.
Upper left, all right.
Yeah, we've got two there. We've got one with the lot lines on the upper left, and then we've got the overall vicinity map to the upper right. There you go. So this is a private road off of San Isidro. It extends off to the west, and it kind of dead ends at Casa Dorinda. So Casa Dorinda would be 2 properties over to the west. You can kind of see it there just at the very extreme west portion. There you go. So the project is, it's a vacant lot. It's a legal lot. We have obtained our Montecito points allocation, and Robert's been working basically for the past year or so while we went through the MGMO award on the design. And the result of which is what you see before you here. We're about 93% of the FARs. We did do a cherry picker out at the site to kind of look at the heights and the view impacts and those sorts of things, and Robert will take you through those, and with that I'll turn it over to Robert.
Okay, well, having seen the vicinity map, I guess let's go to the site plan. It looks like Bill's there. From that vicinity map, you can see clearly there's really a buildable portion of the lot, which is relatively flat, with on the east a ravine that goes down to a drainage course, and on the west is sort of a riparian area with 2 drainage courses. So obviously we're picking the developable area of the lot to build this project, and the clients wanted, you know, the pool and the house to face south for light and air. And what we've done is also incorporate some fire department things on the site plan, which is a hammerhead not only in the motor court, but down along the private drive backing into our gate, because there is no turnout on that private drive. You can see in front of that pool and that balustrade that you saw on the rendering, which we'll go to later. You know, we don't have a landscape plan yet, but the idea is to screen the home with mature olive trees in front and also along the driveway going up to the motor court with hedges and things. And you know, we will get to landscape architecture, you know, from a good local landscape architect and a good local civil engineer, and figure out all the landscaping and drainage and stormwater when we get to that. But we're very fortunate that we have basically a relatively flat lot to build on, and we have these 2 drainage courses that are natural, that of course will make sure that we don't put more water into than is going in there now, maintain the historical water flows and have retention basins and whatnot. But again, that'll be up to us, the civil and the landscape guys. So we're looking at the site photos now. There were more eucalyptus. Some of them were removed. They were kind of a fire hazard. We've retained this kind of landmark, what I like to call the big W, which is in the center of your screen now. And that sort of gives you a reference point when we go back to look at the design, the site plan. That's to the left of that attached 2-car garage. And then everything else is, for the most part, on the pad. The driveway to the motor court will need a retaining wall that will range from about 2, maybe at the highest on the right-hand side, 4 feet, 5 feet. If we just, you know, keep it on existing grade, you know, if we don't modify the contours there. The finished floor of the house versus the back of the motor court is about the same. So we're not, you know, intending to fill much, but the pool, as it gets down there, I'd say at the center line of the pool, we're a couple feet above grade. And then on the right and left, maybe 4 feet above grade, with the balustrade that you see, you know, on that sheet. I don't know, maybe Bill, if you want to go to 2.0, well, there's a section there. You can see there's really very little fill. Not a lot of grading. I put 1,000 yards and 1,000 yards. I don't really know if that's necessarily the case. I think it's probably less But you can see on the right-hand side, that's where I'm saying there may be a small retaining wall to get that driveway up at the correct slope. You can see the heights shown here on the sections. We'll have a crawl space. We'll use that dirt to do any fill. So I don't perceive any import or export needed at this point. If you want to go to the
Elevations.
go to the renderings, maybe.
There we go.
Like
Yeah.
that one. So the idea here is that this is a historical kind of stone Tuscan box, really. That center portion of the house is just a rectangle. It's almost completely square. And then the other wings, except the tower, are plaster. Maybe they were added on later. We'd like to have these big arching tall windows. We have a loggia in the middle. There'll be probably a pocket door system there. The family room is on the left there. The far left is the master bedroom. There'll be a small deck in front of the tower up above that family room, up in there. The cabana will also be stone, so it's like a little stone gatehouse. And the 600 square feet we did, including the entire roof overhang. Architecturally, the middle stone block has about a 3.5 foot wooden Tuscan overhang. Some of the like the cabana has a Genoisive. The detached garage has a Genoisive. So we're trying to mix it up a little bit and use a mixture of stone. I found a nice stone veneer from Texas that's called Yellow Texas that looks very, very much like Santa Barbara sandstone, but it's nice and thin, and we won't have to be sawing and making dust and noise on site. The materials will be mostly black iron and glass doors and windows. If not, they'll be, wood. I think that the screening in front isn't really shown, as thick as it would be because we wanted to show the architecture. But of course, the idea would be to screen from that private drive as much as possible. And the rest of the landscaping is by nature, really. The site has beautiful riparian areas, and out of the 3.2 acres, we are developing that pad pretty fully, but it's really way less than even a third of that site. I don't know if you want to go to the floor plans, if that's a good idea, Bill. So the floor plan is the opposite of the site plan. So note that here north is down, not up. Sorry about that, but it's just kind of the way I think. I want to look at it as I walk through. But again, that center kind of box, which is, for instance, the kitchen family room is the lower wing, and the center, so you can see the roof plan, kind of how that works on the right, to the right of that, where it's shown with the second floor plan. And we have a parapet. That roof would be, I believe it's a 3 or a 3.5 and 12 parapet to keep the roof height down, and some nice skylights in the living room, and foyer. And then we have the stair tower. Everybody needs a home office these days because of COVID. So we got 2 offices up there, which is really what those are intended to be. And it's a pretty small second story, really. And it faces north-south, so it shouldn't really be interrupting too many views at all. And it's screened by those large eucalyptus trees behind it. And again, we're, as Brian noted, you know, we're trying to get, you know, a nice project on here and fulfill all the Montecito Fire Department requirements. We've already got Montecito Sanitary on board. We've got Montecito Water on board. You know, we've done our homework over the last year, and, you know, we would just like to keep moving this thing forward. So if anybody has any questions, let me know.
Yes, thank you. So let's move on to a question from board members. Let's start with Sam.
Okay, yeah, I'm just looking at the site plan, Robert, and just kind of curious, maybe you guys could explain the setbacks in that motor court and how they work, I guess, for your garages. You've got plenty of good coverage on the top of the site in the ridge, I see. I'm just kind of curious about the setbacks. It looks centered, except for maybe that one area. Do you guys fill in that blank for me in terms of setback?
So sure, Sam, this is Brian. So the setback where the garage, and thanks, Bill, is perfect. That's our 25-foot rear yard setback. And so, you know, given, as Robert explained, we've kind of got 2 natural drainages on the east and the west, and they're covered in oaks. So we're really kind of limited to this flat pad in the middle in terms of where we can place our structures. And of course, the fire department wants their turnaround, and so that kind of drove the motor court location. So the code does allow for detached accessory structures within the rear yard setback, as long as they don't occupy more than 30% of the rear yard area, which this wouldn't, and would be limited in height to 12 feet or the additional 3 feet with the 4 and 12 pitch. So that should all be compliant with code.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I understand the presentation so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. John?
Mr. Chairman, I actually have a question for Alex. Have you had a chance to look at the front yard setback and whether or not that needs to be 50 feet because of 5 or more people on the street?
What's it listed as?
It's listed as 50 feet, but I was wondering if it could have been reduced.
No. Well, I mean, I haven't looked at this. They don't have an application in, but presumably that roadway serves 5 or more parcels.
More than 4.
More, yeah. So, so it would be considered a front yard. So that should be accurate.
Okay, very good.
Actually, I'm sorry to interrupt. Alex, not Alex Tuttle, but Broman has said that he would consider this the 4th house because the 1st house is really right on the corner of San Ysidro Road.
Yeah, so I think what John's asking about is the zoning setback requirements versus fire department. So that was the question.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm not done yet. And
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I do want to confirm that your proposal includes 4 cars for parking, not just the minimum required of 2. Is that correct?
Yes, there's an attached 2-car garage and a detached 2-car garage.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Claire?
no questions other than having Bill roll back to the title page where we see the photographs. I'd like to see where the neighbors are, especially now with this encroachment going on. So yeah, here, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
I actually have a neighbor here when it's time for public comment.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I just wanted to see where this second garage, how much it was going to impact the neighbors to, I guess it's to the west, right?
North. That'd be to the
North.
north.
Oh, so it's over there. Oh, there we go. I see. It's right
Correct.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's the neighbor that it would real. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Claire. Don?
Yes, I was concerned about that garage and appreciate seeing where the neighbors' houses are. And that should be shown normally on a site plan so that we have a better picture of it. But other than that, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Don. Bill?
No questions.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, so we are going to open public comment on item number 4, 289 San Isidro Road. Sharon?
Yes, Katya?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So we're the neighbors to the north. If you can open the site, the property lines again, we're the property with that ends in 021.
Katya, can you introduce yourself first, please?
Sorry. My name is Katya Shirokov, and I'm the owner of the property 021 that ends in 021, just been circled right now. So we were naturally concerned about the siting of this large new house. I'm relieved to see that it's pretty much, if I understand it correctly, it's pretty much going to be in that cleared area that is being marked in green right now. Our biggest concerns have to do with the fact that there are a large number of mature oak trees, which you can see pretty clearly from right along our southern property line, and we were concerned that they not be disturbed. I'm gathering from the comments of the architect that you are sensitive to that.
Thank you. Okay, are you done with your comment?
Well, I wanted to know what plans, if any, are being made for improvement, quote unquote, improvement of the property, apart from the building. Are they planning to do, what are they planning to do, particularly in that forested oak area? And there are the 2 creeks that were mentioned, which go through our property as well. We're concerned about, erosion. There's plenty of water that goes through them during the wet season. What plans, if any, are being considered for that area?
Robert, would you like to address that?
Well, we have not signed up a landscape architect yet, but clearly, and I'm sure Alex Tuttle could answer this, there's not much we can do with that area other than, nice riparian park-like pathways and things like that. Maybe, it's landscaped again by nature, and I think we can improve it in only a natural sense and make it just an enjoyable area for the clients. But there would be no structures in there. There's not going to be any tree removal in there.
Right.
I think the question for the neighbor would be, are you removing any oaks?
No.
So far, it doesn't.
I don't think we would be allowed to, and there is no intent to do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Sharon, anyone else?
No. Not that I know of. Nobody's raising their hand. There's Martha. I wonder if Martha Gray would like to speak. Hi, Martha.
We do have Tip a letter I see here.
I believe this letter was item number 3.
Yeah, that was a different one. I apologize.
Oh, that's 4.
Thank you. Martha? Hi, Martha. Did you want to speak to, I don't know what project you wanted to speak to.
So I'm going to close public comments and back to the board for comments. So let's start with John.
Comments about this. I'm just from here.
And please, okay, John, please also consider if we need story poles for the 2-story portion.
Mr. Chairman, I do believe we need story poles, including that garage on the northern end, the detached garage, so that we can really get an understanding of how that's going to interact with the neighbors to the north. And I also think that it would be appropriate to have story poles along the southern end of the pool at the top of the balustrade. Is that what you're calling it, Robert? Just so that we understand the visual quality of how that's going to lay out. But besides that, which I think is relevant, and of course the 2-story portion. Besides that, I think it's a nice project, modest in scale, given the size of the property. And I think the architectural style is nice. So I think a site visit will help flesh out any of these planning issues that we need to deal with. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Claire?
I think it is a lovely project. I think it is a really, and looking at the drawings, it's a really pretty house for me. That's how it occurs. And I mean, I always have this sense with Robert Sen. I mean, I like what he does, and I think that this is a really appropriate house for a 3-point-something or other acre in the center of Montecito. I really like it. So that's it.
Don?
I agree with Claire and John. I'm still a little concerned about the garage being in the rear yard setback that much. And I know it's legal, but the precedent settingness of it concerns me, and I want to make sure we cover our tails very accurately and succinctly as to why we're allowing that to happen. But I think the architecture of the house is excellent, and I think Robert did a very good job with his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Bill?
Yeah, I agree with other board members. Robert, I think you did a great job on the structure. I think it looks beautiful. A nice looking home. I too, though, am a little concerned about how close this is, the garage here, to that adjacent property line. And just being able to screen and buffer that a little better would be something I think we want to see. And then again, as you develop this pool edge in the front facade, I think you're heading in the right direction, certainly with the oaks, and I think that sounds like a good plan. The house itself is beautiful. I don't have any problem, and the only issue would be the garage and the placement of it. Not so much the look of it, just the placement of it. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Sam?
Yeah, I agree with many of the comments, and I like the way it steps down gently with the terracing of the outdoor spaces, and the site plan is kept tight and condensed because of its constraints. I do think story poles are needed, and again, a landscape plan should flush out some of the privacy issues, if there are any, or concerns that the neighbors may have with any of the structures being proposed. But the small little gatehouse theme, that's also the cabana, the stone, the materials, the playfulness, and the traditional aspects of the architecture are very clean and very nice.
Thank you, Sam. So, yeah, I do agree with all the comments. Except Robert, you make sure that you can check with the planner, make sure that you don't have to comply to a 50-foot front yard setback for a private driveway that's serving 5 or more. So you can come back for that, and then we'll need to see some story poles for the second story portion, and same at the pool area by the balustrade facing the driveway, no, facing the easement.
Mr.
And-
Chairman, I'd also like to see that front area by the pool. Maybe other board members don't feel it's important, but I'd like to at least find out what that feeling is.
Right.
No, I think that's good, John. I think what you said is thing. I mean, I think that what's right in front of us is that balustrade. That's where it should be pulled, right?
I think
Yes.
right at the top of the balustrade, just so we can see,
Yeah.
neighbors can see, et cetera, and then we can chat
How do you
about
spell that? Sorry.
then we can chat about the landscaping once we see the visual impact, because it sounds like you're building that up, Robert. So
Well, if you look at this section, it's really quite low. Maybe go back to the section, Bill.
I think it's going to be easy. I don't know if it's going to be an impact, but I'd love to see it, because
Yes.
we had a project where they wanted to move the house from one parcel to another up on East Valley Road. I was surprised how the grading that was required by flood control, et cetera, increased the height of that property. So I don't think it's going to be very hard to put that in, and I think that'll get us all in tune with actually what's going to come down.
Here it is. Yeah.
Looks like it's pretty low, yeah, very low.
It's really, yeah, it's in the middle, it's less than 5 feet. And on the corners, it's about 6 feet. And you know, one reason why, because I have such a great planner in Brian, you'll note that it's in the front setback, which apparently we can't have anything taller than 6 feet. So as it rolls off to the right and left, those two corners of the balustrade at the highest point are only 6 feet, with the balustrade included above existing grade.
So I have a suggestion, John and Tip. Do you think that furthest southern extent of the balustrade, instead of all of the kind of ins and outs, if we just did that furthest extent there, would that
I
be
think
enough?
that'll give us enough. And then
Okay.
also whatever proposal, Robert specifically acknowledged that he does not have a landscape plan yet. If he could start exploring that so we can see
Yeah.
how that's going to be dealt with.
Yeah, that would make sense of the location as well as the height. So that southern portion we can do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, John. I have one more comment. Bill, can you go back to the elevations?
Getting there.
Okay, keep going. Keep going. Okay, stop right here. Okay, so it seemed to, I was looking at the elevations, and they all seem very nice and simple and balanced, and beyond the elevation, they seem like you have a lot of elements. It's the west elevation. It's almost like it's not the same house as the other three, so you can take a look at that and see maybe you can simplify it a little bit to go with the rest of the project, but that's the only comment I have. Thank you. So please put up the story poles and schedule the planner when you're ready to come back.
Thank you, everyone.
What do you
Thank
want to
you.
do back as further conceptual?
Yes, for the conceptual.
Yes, because we got the story poles.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks. So now
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Robert.
we don't have item number 5, so we are moving right on to item number 6.
We are.
And that's 817 Romero Canyon Road.
Rob and Matthew should be here.
All the applicants online.
I believe Matthew, Robin, are you here? Unmute. Robin?
Uh-oh.
I just saw him.
Hey, guys, I'm here.
On the list.
Is Matthew here?
No, he's on the line with me.
Oh,
Okay, your name for the record, please.
Okay, Robin Donaldson. One second,
Thank you,
guys.
Robin. And this is the second hearing for further conceptual for new two-story single-family dwelling at 817 Romero Canyon. I'm going to read the comment from the last meeting of December 13, 2018, and we had full comment. You have today. Number 2, project seems appropriate, but site visit will demonstrate any respect to height.
You're cutting in and out. Audio's cutting in and out.
Okay, I'm sorry. And number 3, screening from neighbors will be important to justify height being requested. Number 4, provide side sections. And number 5, contemporary design appears suitable for the site. So Robin, we'd like to address those comments, and if you can limit your presentation to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. If we could, let's start. I'd like to start with this overall site plan. I think it's that sheet A 0.24.
Is it here? No. There we go.
There you go. Thank you. Okay, so for the board's benefit, I wanted to clarify a couple of things. We submitted an LUP since the last time we saw the board. We've submitted a land use permit for 817 Romero and 815 Romero. 811 Romero, which is the upper parcel, that's the one that anybody who visited the site today probably stood on or parked their car, is not part of the permit at this point. For the board's convenience and so you're aware of what we're planning in the long run, we did add a supplemental drawing that shows the entire landscape concept for all 3 parcels. But I wanted to clarify that the driveway, and it's agendized this way, the project's agendized as a driveway, a bridge, and all of the improvements that are on 817. Our intention is that we've submitted 815 and 817. Now we understand that the board only got drawings for 817 Romero. And I don't know if the planner's on who can confirm that. And I think board member Watson brought to my attention a question about the driveway and the review of the driveway. Within the package on the next sheet, we show the entire driveway and all the civil for the entire driveway as part of this application. But our intention is to apply and to review the entire driveway and project on 815 and 817.
only 817 is agendized though.
Right.
It's agendized as 817, that's correct.
So,
Well, it's a single, I think, from planning's perspective, it's a single project.
The 2 together.
Can't get
Well,
815.
because the driveway cuts through 815.
Yeah, can't get there without going over 815.
Yeah. So
can we comment, Alex, on 815 as well as 817 today or not?
Well, just in terms of the driveway?
Yeah, if we have any need.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's the driveway to this project.
Robin, why you focus on 817 for now? And
okay, I just wanted to, and also the grading calculations that we show on the agenda include the calculations for both parcels. So I wanted to make that clear.
Why was that?
I don't.
Because that's what the applicant did. I mean, the applicant is combining the two lots.
Then both addresses should have been put down.
Well,
Okay, so let's go through the drawings.
That's not, you know, whatever. Yeah.
Well, it does have something to do with the MBAR.
So,
Let's start, Robin.
I'm sorry?
Okay,
I said
Robin,
we're
can you?
start.
Okay. So what I want to do is I want to go through with the board on the comments. I think one of the questions had to, you know, obviously we had the story polls, and I want to start with the story polls. I was just, everybody reviewed the story polls today. We talked about the impact of the height from the neighbors. We have a letter from the Goulds, which are our neighbor to the north. And I think anybody who went to the site, we were able to point out which project that was. Yes, thank you. It's to the north of 811, just so that the board is aware. One of the questions that came up from some of the board members and so on was about the green roof and the type of roof it is. I got from our landscape architect, we're looking at a Carex Panza, kind of with a Molenbergia kind of accents. It's meant to match the landscaping that eventually will be on 811 in the meadow. So, and I think there's concern with the neighbors in terms of looking down at the house and the fact that we intend to plant a green roof in plantings that will roughly match the, intend to match the meadow that's around it. And with the Carex Panza, that'll give us a year-round green effect for the roof. And eventually, of course, we'll get into more details about that. But I think that there are some questions about the height of that and so on. You know, I think that those grasses get maybe 18 inches or so. But I wanted to bring the board's attention that we intend to do a green roof over the all of the house except the portion by the living room, which is not visible from above because it's got the master bedroom area in front of it. And we intend to, of course, have that be year-round kind of a green appearance. I wanted to talk about the site sections, if we could just go to that sheet for a second. And if we could zoom in on, I guess, let's go to the middle drawing, number 2. And I want to clarify a couple of things. If we could zoom in just a touch more. One question was the height of the chimney. And I incorrectly told member Watson that it's 4 feet above the flags. It's actually 6 feet. And it's labeled on the drawings as such in the elevations. We don't need to go to those drawings right now, but I just wanted to, that I had misspoke in the meeting. It's on one of the other drawings right there on the north elevation. And the 2 chimneys on the living room chimney and the chimney on the main part of the 2-story part of the house, both are at the same elevation as proposed. And by the way, it's 4 feet wide, the chimney, and then it's wider from this, I think it's a 14-foot width from this side, but the side that the neighbors see from the north is the narrow side. very few people see that. Also, the neighbors to the north, the Golds, their floor level is considerably higher. They're at 620, and I think the chimneys are somewhere in the 580. No, I'm sorry. 568 or so. So we're down a fair amount from, quite a bit from that neighbor and any neighbor. If we could go to the screening, let's go back to the screening, and if we could go back to the site plan for a second. I wanted to talk about, yeah, if we can go to that L 1.2. Yeah, thank you. You can see the, on this property, we're looking at screening to our neighbor to the east, which is Mr. Turner. We have an agreement, we have a kind of a neighbor to neighbor agreement to maintain a little view access for him right in that zone right there. Somebody's pointing, thank you. The rest of it, we've provided a significant screening between his property and our property. Neither one of us want to see each other, of course. We have plenty of room to do that. And then we have on that large site plan that showed 811, we have a series of trees and landscaping that's going to be to the north of the house that will step up that hill. There's actually more, they're actually in that meadow area, which is on that other drawing. But I think the members that were at the site, they saw that drawing and the screening that we have to the north. And to our Goulds, immediate north, we have plenty of area. We have lots of trees in that area and can augment that without exceeding the height that they'd like. We understand there's a neighbor to neighbor understanding about the Gould's concern for the height of the trees on 811. I'm not part of this application now, but I just want to let the board know that we're in discussion about that, and we're well aware of that. We're not proposing any other trees than oak trees, olive trees, and pepper trees.
Yeah. Anything else, Robin?
I think I hit the site sections, the screening, project visibility, hopefully address the neighbors, the green roofs, and I think that's it.
Thank you. So back to the board for questions. Let's start with John.
John, you're muted. You're muted, John.
Thank you. I'm currently on PDF page 5, Bill.
Of this rendered version?
No,
Okay.
well, I don't, it's the site that's showing the grading.
Oh, okay.
Page 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, that's good enough, probably right there. Can you talk to us about the extent of the grading to the south and southwest of the driveway and the main residence? And this, is it 2-to-1? It seems like there's a lot of it to get a relatively flat pad. So can you please discuss that with us?
Yeah, okay, so a couple issues. Number one, imagine we've had to lift the whole project up 2 feet for the flood, base flood elevation that runs across the property. That 2 feet, to get that to grade and to look natural, a pretty good amount of that grading is part of that. The other part of that has to do with the house appearing to be set into the hillside in a natural way on the south side. So we're kind of tapering the grade down. as natural as possible in these areas. And that's more of an aesthetic of minimizing any kind of retaining wall along the pool area, pool side of the house, and the corner by the living room patio. And a site section is actually helpful that we provided. It shows that grading if you'd like to see that.
At this area here.
Yeah, that's area there, and you look at the one down below that's showing. So obviously it shows a lot of lines. It's not particularly deep, but when you do spread it out over an area, it does have an impact. You know, we're trying to minimize any kind of grade that looks like a manufactured grade. The edge along the driveway, as it turns along the side of that hill, right now we're showing it mostly as fill, no cut, say on the uphill side, for instance, it's all fill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's the only question I had.
Thank you, John. Claire?
Well, no, I don't think I have any questions.
Thank you. Don?
Yeah, one question, Robin. You mentioned that the narrow side of the chimney will be facing the neighbor's view. What is that dimension?
4 feet, Tom.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Don. Sam?
Yeah, so kind of back to that topic about grading, Robin, it sounds to me like you're doing a job of just feathering the slope up and trying to keep that meadow that's in the foreground to the southwest as kind of a blending to the lower part of the house. I get that. You mentioned there's no manufactured 2-to-1 type slopes. Are all these more like 3 and 4-to-1? Looks like the one area for the driveway, what's on the west side of the driveway on that big bend there, like it probably gets into a steep condition. That's about as steep as you're going to have. It's right in that condition.
Yeah, and we're looking at, we want it to all look natural. You know, I mean, that's really the goal. And this conceptual plan, this is an area that we want to study further, how that grading is along that edge there.
So that's to my point, is to try to see if you can feather that whole area as nicely as you've described in the foreground of the house. And that's the only area that might look a little bit like it jumps up quickly. To that fact, what are the size of your walls on both sides of the drive, just to kind of get a perspective of the vertical heights along that fill side, cut side of your driveway?
The data, typically I think the tallest we have is at 5 feet, which is where that fire truck turnout is. And then they taper down to about 2 feet. And
okay, so it's on the uphill side, your fire truck turnout's on the cut side?
Yeah.
On the other lot.
Right, I'm just looking at the driveway and how it blends as you come in. And then you look just architecturally on the top part of the house. I understand the green roof and how it blends to the upper property, and the tree configuration, more of a kind of orchard. Are those going to be olive trees or fruit trees, or?
Those are actually olive trees.
So it'll be more of a context of an olive grove coming out of the ground and off the terraces, correct?
Yeah, the notion that we're pursuing is that there might have been an olive grove here originally, and then we've kind of slotted the house within an olive grove, but we've had little clumps of, say, olives and pepper trees softening up that grid of olives. And as we're developing the design, we want to, of course, keep our kind of view corridors. We have some mountain views to the north, but also, screen from the north as well. The client they have two structures on that north side of the property. They want to mitigate they want trees in that view as they look at the home.
All right. Thank you for your answers. That's all. That's all questions.
Thank you, Sam. Bill?
Yeah, so Robin, just to kind of follow this grading question, it looks like, so these are retaining walls that you've got kind of shown in the back. So you're kind of cutting back in here, creating a little bit of flat and then pushing that grade out down onto the hill to create kind of a natural feel. Does that sound about right? These are kind of separate retaining walls.
Right, you've got a 1 floor difference between that upper parking court and the lower parking court that tucks in the house.
And then it looks like, in this turn, I know you got a lot of trees and things to deal with, rocks and grades. You're going to be real close to the oaks in here, so you're probably going to lose some of these, is what it looks like. And you'll probably have to be planning others to mitigate, I'm guessing, unless are you going to try and keep that
we want to lose as few trees. We hope to lose very few trees.
Yeah, I mean, this is a nice smooth turn right now, and if you tried to cut it sharper, maybe you could get around that or not. But it looks like it's about a 3-foot wall right in here. So it's not getting, and then it turns to grade on that side. So maybe you could batter against that, but okay, yeah, that was all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, so we're going to open public comment for item number 6, 817 Romero Canyon Road. Sharon?
Have a letter.
We have a letter from Mr. Joe Cole.
The neighbors up above.
Yes, Sharon, do we have anyone online?
Sharon, I'm online. This is Joe.
Mr. Cole, would you like to address the board?
Yes, please. I'll be very brief.
Thank you.
I would like to thank Robin Donaldson and Matthew Bouzoulet, the other architect. They took the Goulds, who I'm representing, and the Peterson family yesterday through a detailed presentation. We really appreciated that. We didn't really know a lot before. They answered questions. We all had a chance to meet with him this morning at the site at 10 o'clock. And we appreciated being able to meet with them. The 3 points that I summarized in the letter, I'll just touch on them very briefly. And Mr. and Mrs. Gould are here if they have anything else to add. Number 1 is really the landscaping north of the residence up to the Gould's property. It's something that we've been working with them on and with the previous landowner. Our concern really is making sure that that we have continuing views to the ocean, and that we have, and we determined with Robin this morning that they still have screening if they look up, but that doesn't have to be at the expense of our ocean views. So we're working with them on that. The second thing is something that you've all touched on today, is the story poles issue about how high the chimneys go and the plantings on the roof. And part of that we picked up as a concern of the Petersons, the other neighbors who look more directly down on it. And then the third area has to do with the roof aesthetics. Robin was gracious in letting us know that the flat roofs will not have, will be sort of open and aesthetic. They won't have HVAC, solar, or other kinds of installations. We think it's great that they're green. The one big concern is more of almost a permitting condition concern. Properties I've been involved with start out with these beautiful green roofs, but then over time, they start to die. They're not kept up. Sometimes there's rainwater problems, and so they're resealed and go away. So whatever they're building, we'd like to make sure, stays there for a long period of time. That's all I have. Let me ask Mr. Gould here.
Yeah, my concerns, I'll ditto my concern with Joe, and I also had a question about the prior discussion about the solar field that was planned for the property, because that would be a subsequent addition, and how that would impact the parcel. I believe that the solar field discussion would be located up on 811 in the property below, on the other side of the trees near the reservoir. So that would be an impact that'd be worth having a discussion about. It doesn't appear it's part of the agenda here, but it's something that may be on the table down the road. And so we'd like to, be good neighbors and retain our views to the sea, and make sure that roof stays green. I know that Steve Martin's property was done by an architect named Coates, and he's had numerous roof changes and problems. While it did look great, I just think that's another challenge for any homeowner to address, mostly during the construction phase. I'm sure Robin's up to speed on best practices to utilize in order to be able to accomplish that. So anyway, that's all I have to say, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Sharon,
Yeah.
do we have any other?
No, we do not. It was just Mr. Pohl's letter that, and then he spoke with Mr. Gould. That's all.
Thank you. So with that, I'm to close the comment and back to the board. And this item here, is being here for, I believe, is it for the conceptual? It's not for preliminary, right, Sharon?
No, it's further conceptual.
For the conceptual. Okay, so Claire, would you like to start first?
Well, yeah, I want to go back to this idea that we actually are only reviewing the driveway because it wasn't agendized as whatever that, I think that's 215 down below. So I would like to make sure that when Mr. Donaldson and crew come back, that gets resolved so that we actually can understand how to approve this project, including the design of the driveway. So that's one thing that I have. Then the other thing that I talked to Mr. Donaldson on site about was that I wanted to make sure, we had a lengthy conversation about the roofs, and I want to make sure that when he comes back that he has some details of how that particular installation is going to work. In some cases, it appears to me over time that some for installations work and others don't. And I have one that I look at right now, a planted roof, and it's terrible. And I actually told Mr. Donaldson that I would take photographs of that, because that's why I'm going to be very concerned about how this, as the neighbors are, how this roof gets built and maintained. So I want to see when you come back, Robin, the details of all of that. And you assured me that you were working with somebody that knew how to do this and was going to. So I just want to see that in the next presentation. And then, the question just came up right now, that the solar field, the solar field doesn't show up on any of these lots. So I want to make sure that for our approval, that you're going to show where this solar field is. I mean, the neighbors are saying it's on lot 811, but okay, where? We've already approved that lot. And I know, given the rules, we can't really look at solar. That's kind of out of our purview, but I do want to see where that is going to exist. and what the impact is going to be to the neighbors that look down on all of these lots. And I think at that point, that's all I've got.
Thank you, Claire. John?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I want to focus in on just, first of all, I think it's a very, very lovely design, Robin. So I want to acknowledge that. You've got about 5,000 cubic yards of fill on this project as it currently exists. And that's something on the order of 500 trips up the canyon and down the canyon. I know it's a short-term impact from an environmental standpoint of view, but it's still 500 trucks. I also noticed in your site sections that you are stepping the building down as it goes down the hill. And what I am going to request is that you study that step a little tiny bit more to see if you can't significantly reduce that 5,000 cubic yards. My guess is you probably can, or find a way to get that soil more from this site than you've already got. So please examine the grading more carefully. Number two, I think the renderings are lovely, but I also think that the thickness of the roof that's represented in the renderings is far too narrow from many points of view. I think structurally, also if you've got some kind of a green roof, you've got to have soil on it, things of that nature. So I think that if you start exploring the roof more, you may want to actually consider how thick that roof is. I understand the elegance of this, how thin it looks, but I don't think that's the truth about what it's actually going to come down. Way back when Westmont College came through, I can't remember, it was Ken Radke, I think, did those buildings. And they proposed a green roof where the green elements were actually planted in some kind of a removable tray. And it sat on top of the roof in those green trays so that if things came down about not growing properly, etc., those trays could be taken out, replanted, and put back in without doing a massive destruction of the roof. I don't know if that system is still available, if it proved the test of time, but you might want to check on that. Right. I was initially concerned about the height of the building as viewed from the neighbor directly to the north until I realized today that your property owner is the same and they can make whatever kind of bed they want to sleep in for themselves. And the neighbor that Mr. Cole is representing, I don't think that this board has any authority or precedent or anything to ask the Donaldson and his client to protect their views. I think that that's a civil matter. I hope that everybody works that out, but I can't do anything for them to do that. So I think it's a very nice project. I think that the comments are more about getting you into preliminary phase. From my point of view, you're done with the conceptual phase. I think the grading and the roof needs to be examined. Besides that, I think you're very good, Robin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Don?
Thank you. Everything's been said pretty much that relates to the project. I'm concerned about the roof maintenance over a period of time. Very few people know as much about green roofs as Robin and his office do, so I assume that'll all be taken care of. So it's a wonderful project. I know it was designed to hunker in and not be obtrusive, so I have no further comments. I think it's a great project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill?
Yeah, I like the architectural style. I think it looks beautiful, very attractive. I think it's fitting for the site. I have some concern with what John is mentioning on the grading, although as I look and think about it too. I think it's difficult. I like the fact that you're trying to make it look like it's the original topography. So I know that that makes it better. But maybe there are some ways, I don't know, maybe some of these could be steeper. I don't know if there's a way to reduce the grades there. This area around the trees might be a little concerning. So I think you'll just be working that out as you start getting in with your civil engineer and detailing that. But generally speaking, I like the architecture. I think you've done a great job, and I can support it so far.
Thank you, Bill.
Sam?
Yeah, thanks, Tip. I agree. The shaping that we talked about on site today, Robin, was important for me to try to, imagine the story poles being absorbed in the land, and I think you've commented on areas that you're studying, and the smoothness of those slopes blending is important to your whole concept, at least the way your dramatic architecture, settles into it. I do know a system of live roof that does have the tray systems that was mentioned, I think, John, that can grow and bring in things that might need to, be touched up as plants evolve and or move through a life cycle. Some of them transpire. Maybe you can get that consistency of that meadow look. One of the things I'm thinking about from the north view, looking at this roof system, it'd be nice to blend the edges of some of the architecture into the meadow, kind of as a theme and theory that you've got, and a few more trees. Maybe the orchard expands over further to the west. Maybe a few more oaks get planted on the northern side. On that plan, I do see you're presenting more trees on the north side above the house, so that if you're looking at the house from above, from some of these letters from neighbors, that you're not looking at a geometric green. You're looking at more of a natural green that I think is the intent. So maybe some trees are retained, and you're showing some in that plan. So I do see you've thought about that. I agree with John. If there's some way of shaping with your existing site dirt and or material, as opposed to bringing in that many, loads of import, be nice to see how you can kind of create some of your grading material and try to balance the numbers just a little bit more. But overall, the dramatic piece of architecture set in that large setting is quite handsome. So I think just the details of what we're talking about will help all that go one big step further. Thank you, Tip.
Thank you, Sam. It's definitely, I think it's going to be a very beautiful project. Robin, I really appreciate how your firm is studying all the concrete plaster finish for the outside, and will be looking great. So we look forward to have you coming back when you're ready for the preliminary approval to the full board.
Okay, that sounds great, and I appreciate all the comments.
Good luck. Now we're moving on to item number 7, 801 San Isidro Lane. Is the applicant online?
Yes, I am. Hi, this is Laurel Perez. I'm trying to get my camera to work.
Oh, don't worry about it, Laurel. We're not, you won't see. We won't see.
Okay, great, even better. Good afternoon. That's
thank you,
better.
Laurel. So
you
are
bet.
here
Good
for,
afternoon.
So you are here
what was that?
You are here for the full
Okay.
hearing. The last time it was in front of the board was January 9, 2020. And we see for further conceptual review for partial demolition of an existing 4,290 square foot single family building, whereas 2,550 square feet of the existing residence will be saved and reused. And new construction will include 2,350 square foot of addition with a 726 square foot attached garage, plus 391 square foot of second story ADU, and 114 square foot of detached tennis kiosk and 623 square foot pool cabana, lap pool, and tennis court. So we had several comments from our January 9, 2020 meeting. Number one was site visit with story pools, which we did today. Study window and what is it? Cave proportions.
Eve.
Eve. Sorry. Not cave. Eve proportions. And 3 architectural character appears appropriate. Appreciate retention of historical significant portion of existing residence. Number 5, study simplicity of existing Monterey style and look to integrate into design of the rest of the project. 2 styles do not tie in well together. Number 6, consider pulling landscape hedge away from the street edge to allow for buffer and pedestrian use adjacent to roadway. And number 7, confirm FAR calculation. So if you can address those issues and those comments. And
Yes, we'd be happy to do so. This is Laurel Perez with Suzanne Elledge Planning and Permitting. Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members. We provided to Sharon an updated project description. I'm not sure why the old one carried over. The project has actually been significantly reduced in size since the last time you reviewed it in January. And
sorry, Laurel, I received it and I put it in the file. Bill, can you pull that?
Just want to make sure everyone's clear. For example, there's no longer a second-story ADU above the garage. We no longer have a pool or a cabana. The proposed addition to the residence is about 1,000 square feet less. It's about 1,300 square feet in size. And then the garage has been reduced in size as well. The attached garage, it's now about 670 square feet in size. So those are the markups, just for the record, you bet. And I'll introduce the team in just a minute, but wanted to remind you all that we've been before you twice. You may recall that when we first came before the board about a year ago, this was a much more ambitious project involving complete demolition of the existing home and a new almost 7,000 square foot residence, including an observatory and several new accessory structures. We then began to work with Post Hazeltine and the project applicant to save the significant portions of the existing home, given its Monterey revival style architecture, and have significantly reduced the project scope. So you reviewed that downsized version in January of this year, which included the ADU above the garage and the pool and the cabana. But since then, we listened to your comments and further simplified the program, removed the ADU, reduce the size of the home, and work to tie together the 1,300 square foot addition to the main residence, which is about 2,500 square feet that would be saved with the project, and took that version back to, or took it to the HLAC for review in March of this year. We received broad support from HLAC in appreciation for maintaining the historically significant portion of the residence, although a couple of the members expressed some concern about the garage design, and when they were looking at it, they were reviewing the ADU on top of the garage, and the garage was a little bit larger with the carport. We've since eliminated the carport, reduced the garage in size, and have completely eliminated the second-story ADU, and that's the project that you're reviewing today. So along with that, the grading obviously came down. It's only 1,300 cubic yards of cut and 800 cubic yards of fill now. Hopefully you all had a chance to see the story poles for the residents, including the addition, as well as staking for the tennis court. And with that, I'll turn it over to Peter Budnick with Wayne Weissman Architecture, who will be followed by our landscape designer, Richard Bartley. Also with us are Max Genschel with Ashley Vance, and they're our civil engineer, as well as Tim Hazeltine with Post Hazeltine if you have any questions. So with that, Peter, go ahead and take it away.
Great. Thank you very much, Laurel. Mr. Chairman, Board of the MBAR, thank you very much for taking the time to review our project. So Laurel provided the nice highlights of sort of our last year of review of this project with you. I think at this point we've gotten the project down to a location where it fits beautifully within the historic context of the house itself and really becomes more of a garden project. So to take you through some of the highlights of the site plan, as you will have noticed, the current property hasn't been cared for particularly well over the last several years. The site fencing, sort of rubble rock, chain link fence, and wooden fence. And so we're proposing really cleaning all of that up quite a bit. And one of the previous comments from our last meeting with you was cleaning up we're eliminating the tunnel effect that a lot of Montecito is having. And so we've pulled the site walls back a little bit so that there's space for a little bit more pedestrian walkway there, and then also created a little turnout for any passing. You have it right in your screen right there. For passing vehicles, a vehicle might be slowing down or something, but it also gives some relief of that green tunnel effect as well. So that's at the northeastern side of the property. The tennis court, so that's if your cursor goes a little further up and to the right, you'll see the turnout that I'm describing. This would be on San Isidro.
Hey, Bill, it's off of San Isidro Lane.
It's here.
It's actually to the right. There you go.
There we go. And so that provides that relief from the tunnel effect that you were concerned with at our last meeting. Moving to the west, we've been reducing the size of the tennis court, reducing the height of the walls, making it feel more of a landscape element within the overall landscape. And as we'll see in the site section shortly, making the whole assembly less visible from the road. And then, as Laurel noted, we've reduced the cabana and the pool from the program. And I'll discuss later how we've reduced sort of the exuberance of the outbuildings. A lot of those were sort of in the Spanish colonial flair, and we've reduced all the outbuildings to be simpler, more in keeping with the Monterey style that the house is in. So if you scroll down to the site sections, you'll just, it gives you a glimpse of how the property integrates. The whole property flows from the north to the south in terms of grading. And one of the key aspects that the clients have really looked for in this project is the stepped water feature that you see, particularly in like site section 5. And so we are taking advantage of the natural grade, leading that little runnel, that stepped runnel feature off with a naturalized pond to the northern extremity of the property, and then just the opposite side. There we go. And then running with the topography down to Fountain Terminus. And then you can scroll through the next page fairly quickly. We just have some landscape details showing the sort of simplicity of the wall architecture. All of the walls are kept below the code minimums. We have our lighting diagram showing where we are anticipating having light fixtures. You'll notice that all the lights are, we're working on getting those to be the dark sky compliant. No uplights, everything sort of focused down. The tennis court will not receive any major sort of court lighting or anything like that. It's all kept in residential and dark sky compliant character. 2 demo plans, just showing the areas where the additions are essentially embracing the existing house and will be plugged in, retaining the historically significant portions of the property, which HLAC approved. Scrolling through the floor plans, part of the strategy in this reworking of the project was greatly reducing the cut fill ratio that we had previously had. We initially had almost 3,000 cubic yards of cut, and we've balanced that fairly well, in part by removing a large portion of the basement to get our cut fill ratio to be where we're only exporting about 500 square feet or 500 cubic yards. Going through the plans, you'll notice that they're fairly modest in scale. 3 bedrooms, a gathering space, kitchen, and garage. And then next you'll find our tennis court plans and our outbuilding plans. Again, just creating more architecture out of the tennis court than sort of utilitarian tennis. So at the heart of the property is sort of this tennis pavilion that you're scrolling by, sort of serves to overlook the tennis court, but also as a destination spot and bathrooms to serve the property. And then further sort of viewing areas to engage the property for the clients. And then as you'll see with the elevations, we've simplified the styling tremendously. We're no longer looking at the sort of Baroque or Spanish colonial influences. We've really been working with the architecture of the house itself. All the materials are essentially the wood windows and stucco barrel tile roof. Again, going through the outbuildings, all the styling is sympathetic with what you're seeing on the house. And that's the project in a nutshell. With that, I can turn it over to Richard Bartley for landscape comment. Richard, are you on the call?
Was Richard on?
Here he is. Wait, I need to
good.
on the wrong side. Let me move him.
Thank you, Sharon.
Sure. Okay, he's over to a panelist. He should be. Richard, can you hear us?
Yes, hi.
Great.
Okay, here we go. Okay, great. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What we did here, I worked with the arborist Duke McPherson, and these yellow trees right here are the existing olives that are on the property. And what we're going to do is stop and relocate these, and some of them are 35 feet by 30 feet in size. And we've added these oak trees out in front as a barrier between the tennis court and Sanders Lane. And we've got 12 60-inch Quercus agrifolias to wrap around and make a natural border. And then what we've got is that we've got an olive-inspired courtyard, motor court, and then we've got citrus, 48-inch top citrus in the center of the property here. And then the citrus carries on the, this is a bocce ball court right here. The citrus goes on the other side of the bocce ball court, and then this area right here is going to be a future vegetable garden. And then on the west side of the property, we have these Italian stone pines in 16-inch boxes. We've got the 3 of them here. And then this small cluster right here are the existing oaks that we were able to save on the property. And then we've got a small cluster of arbutus right here too. And basically the palette was designed so to conform to the water efficient ordinance, and the overall site-wide ETAF is 0.32. So we're in compliance with all of that. If you want to go down a little bit further, we can take a look at the lighting plan. I think it's going to be another couple sheets. Oh, yeah, one more, please. Yeah, here we go. Here's the lighting plan. Basically, the smaller yellow circles are pathway lights. There's no uplights in the canopies of the trees between the tennis court and San Ysidro Lane. We've got all the lights in the canopies of the trees are about 8 feet off the ground, and they're all directed downward. And that goes for these Italian stone pines too. I think that's pretty much it. And here's some of the light fixtures right here that we've got that are fully hooded, and the light elements recessed into the body of the fixture. I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much. Laurel, are you done? Your team?
Yes, our team is done. If you've got questions, as I mentioned, Post Hazeltine is here to address any historic, related questions, and our civil engineer is also here if you've got questions.
Thank you very much. Back to the board for questions. Let's start with Don.
Could Bill put up either the elevations or the very first pictures of the project while we're talking? I mean, we went through everything really fast. Okay, that. Okay, fine. That's fine. Thank you, Bill.
Don?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. John?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire?
I don't think I have any questions.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure I have no questions at this point, Just keep that picture in front of us, though, Bill. Just leave it there. Okay.
Thank you. Sam?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I guess first question is about the tennis court. It looked to me like in the elevations it had a little wall and fence, and it appeared sunken, maybe from your sitting area or your trellis above it is. But then in section, it looked like it was on a fill, like a little bit of a bump of fill, like it's up in the air. So could you describe to me how high your fences and walls are around that? And is it sitting above or is it sunken down into grade?
The answer is yes. So we've worked to equalize the cut and fill for the tennis court. And so we've raised up the viewing platform where the dining pavilion or the tennis pavilion is at the top of the sheet there.
Okay, good.
But otherwise we have the grade essentially, you can see on the right-hand side of that section is high. And so we're cutting in there, and then it's low, a little bit lower on the left-hand side. And all of the walls are 6 feet or less from surrounding grade.
Okay, so it is 6 feet. You're not going up to a more traditional tennis court fence height of 8 or 10 on either side. It's all staying at 6?
That's correct. We can't make the higher height.
And that allows it to be in the front yard setback, I imagine, because it's just 6 feet.
That's correct.
Another question is, because of going through the drawings and I couldn't open them on my side, I apologize. How does the water feature relate again? Is it like a spillway that's spilling towards the tennis pavilion? Is it hidden back there? Is it Is it something you'd swim in? Is it just a koi pond? I just want to understand that on the back part of the property.
Yeah, so right, just directly to the north of the tennis pavilion, that's a little bit more of a naturalized feature. It's probably about 18 inches deep, or 18 to 24 inches deep.
Okay, it's more of a fountain.
And then
fountain,
on
yeah.
the left, yep, and then it outlets into that
That
eight,
rill, I see
8-inch
the rill. Okay. Thank you. That helps me just quickly understand it. Is your equipment for that inside the pavilion, or is it sitting somewhere else? The pumps and recirculation aspects. I'm just curious about that in your site plan.
Yeah, that's a great question. Likely that would be located within the perhaps a crawl space underneath the tennis pavilion.
Okay.
We honestly don't have that feature completely designed at this point.
Thank you. And then one last question, the hedge material, kind of for your boundary and for your privacy.
Yes.
Did you determine what that was? Speak to the landscape architect, I guess.
Oh, the hedge material that's along the property lines, that's a ficus hedge, microcarpa.
Okay. I thought it might be. Okay. Thank you. Those are the questions.
Thank you, Sam. Bill? Bill? We can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, one question. What are the wattages of your exterior landscape lighting? I can't quite read those.
Oh, for the landscape lighting?
Yeah, what are the wattages of those?
So they're all LEDs.
They're all LED.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're
like 2 watts.
They're all 2700 K, and they vary from lumens of 200 down to 125. And so they're like 3 watt and 2 watt fixtures.
Okay, perfect. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Sharon, okay, I'm going to open public comment for item number 7801, San Isidro Lane. Sharon, do we have anything?
No, thank you.
And not online?
Nobody. Wait, one popped up. No, it's Tim. No.
Thank you, Sharon. So to close public comment, back to the board for comments. Let's start with Claire.
Oh. Well, my comment is that the house, I mean, I just love the house. Okay. So once again, it's one of these old classic houses. It's really nice. The concern I have at this point, though, is I have a concern with the amount of light, amount of fixtures, and how much light, like, do we need that many? I mean, it just seems like really a lot. And as well, maybe this applicant doesn't know, but in the past, I really have issue with that this much light out at the edge of the property lines. So it's like the lights in these oaks, even though they're downlit, out here on the edge to the other side. So I would just like you to really look at that again. And now I've actually seen the plan. There just seems to be a lot, so.
The small yellow lights, those are pathway lights that are 20 inches above grade.
So you're saying that all so all these yellow ones that
Those
are
are
all along the
pathway.
essentially along the property line are
That's
pathway lights.
I have no canopy lights. Actually, I've really restricted, I'm thinking about how it's going to bleed over onto the neighbors and to see it. The courtyard is probably most heavily lit.
Well, would be accurate. That would be, I mean.
Yeah, for the clients to arrive and stuff. But those are just 2 watt bulbs, and I've got them are fixtures, and they're about 12 to 14 feet on center. And then the red lights are actually recessed lights into concrete walls that are about a foot off grade.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah, and so
totally
they're
get
just by the
that.
steps, so I got to do that.
Yeah. But
And
so
then-
the question, see, for me is like even this alley where you've got the steps, you've
Yeah.
got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You got like 22 pathway lights in there. Do we really need that many? And so I'm just asking you to really look.
Okay, I can take that. I can revisit it.
I mean, I just in the history of, I mean, I'm a lighting is we got really burned on some projects where there were too many, and when the project was done, it was like a fairyland. And so that's why I'm real concerned about the number of fixtures and whether we really need that many.
Okay, I can take
And
it.
just have a look at that for me.
Sure.
Yeah. And then, and the other comment, okay, yeah, I've got one other comment, is that, and this probably is to Laurel, did go to the site visit today, walked around the property, and I would just, and this is just a request, given that it's fire season,
Yeah.
you guys please get in there and clean up the property. There's a lot of burnable stuff in there. And homeowners throughout Montecito, we're having to clean up our lots, and
Right.
this lot needs to be cleaned up. Even before you start building, you need to do that, okay? That's just,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll pass that on to the owners.
Yeah, it really, it just, there's dead grass and there's all of this stuff, and it's all a fire hazard, 'cause
Right.
and it just takes one little ember to start that going. And so I just would like them to comply with Montecito's fire regulations of having the lot cleaned up. Okay.
Understandable. I'll be sure that they take care of that.
Okay. Thank
Thank you, Claire.
You bet.
John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I think the project is very nice. I think that you have simplified it. I think that that is to your benefit, and that the project will look more classical and more part of Montecito. So I want to thank you for taking those steps. But given that, I think that the types of light fixtures you're showing on PDF page 7 or 14, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of light fixtures. I think the number of types can be simplified to 1 or 2 perhaps. And I think, again, it will help unify and strengthen the project. I want to concur with Claire's comment about the amount of landscape lighting. I think that you have more than is typically seen in Montecito, and our concept from this board is to try to keep things darker rather than lighter throughout the community. And in the northeast corner of the property, you have a turnout. I did walk over there to take a look at it. Directly across the street is a very large parking lot almost. Then directly to the north, you have one parallel spot on your side of the street. And then the property to the north of that also has a single turnout line. And when I drove, I was out with my wife, I started driving south on San Isidro, and I noticed that there were none of those pullouts there. And we kind of got this little street, this little area that to me is very different from the rest. And if you guys don't feel strongly about that little pullout, I personally think it would be better for the street not to have that. Grab that space for yourself internally. You do have a 2-car or 2 curb cut driveway now, so, and you're retaining that. So if you were on earlier, this board tries to reduce those down to 1. I have a much harder time saying that to a property that already has 2 cars. two curb cuts, but I think you can get your guest parking in that area rather than on the street. So I understand these are minor comments. I think that the work you've done on the inside of the property is very nice. And I would just hope that you can tighten up a few of these small items. And I would think you should return for preliminary at the next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John. Don?
Thank you. I'm out of the state, so I did not take the site visit today. But I think it's a very good project, well thought out. Certainly, it's been given a lot of thought over the years. I agree with John that if it was mine, I would delete the parking area by the tennis court. It seems superfluous, and neighbors could park there and so forth. You know, it sort of doesn't make much sense. I would like to point out, and I know this is some of the existing, but the fireplaces at the chimneys don't just run straight up and have no character. They do various things, and I think it helps create the ambiance of the entire architectural package to have them like this. But it's a wonderful project. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Bill?
Yes. Yeah, no, I think you've done a great job. I love the style. I think working with the historian post Hazeltine, trying to bring it back. I think it's well thought out, well done. I too agree with Claire. That was kind of why I was asking about the wattages. Although they're low, there still seems like more than you would probably need out there in terms of quantities. And I would just say and as Claire mentioned too, the perimeters are probably the most critical, although the inside can also add light to the sky that maybe spills into the neighborhood. So whatever you can do to reduce those, I think would be great. I also agree with John on the exterior light fixtures. I'd try to tie those in together better. And I did notice on one of the elevations, it looked like you did have a tennis court fence. So it's hard to say. It looks like it's that image right there. I don't know if that's what you're going to do or not. Is that a tennis court fence there? Maybe not. You see that?
Oh, that's the perimeter wall on that sheet number 6.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's no fencing.
The
Looks
fence
like
there, that is for the vegetable garden.
Oh, got it. Okay. That's to grow onto. Okay. All right. Yeah. Otherwise, I think everything looks really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Sam?
Yeah, thank you, Tip. Yeah, the architecture now and the simplicity of the direction that you've chosen to go is so commendable. Thank you for listening and doing all your homework. And I really appreciate the garden kind of overall theme of the garden spaces you've created. The garden buildings, the respites of the pavilions and the trellis structures, all are very charming. And the garden aspects that intertwine amongst all your structures really create quite a wonderful property now that that you've studied it. And the tennis court itself with the walls kind of brings back to the turn of the century older feel, has a real traditional feel to it. Appreciate the lower heights and not the more standard heights. The equipment, I think we need to know next time where you're going to put that. I mentioned that before, but you've got plenty of room to hide that. As far as the pullout, I think my earlier comment was just try to pull the hedge in to allow for some pedestrian safety kind of along the roadways of Montecito. That's kind of a charge that the board has had for many years now to create more walkway space. So I leave that up to you if you need that for, guests, but I appreciate that that's space that could be used internally as well. So my comments overall is very nice rendition that you put together for us, and I appreciate your work. That's it.
Thank you, Sam. Very nice project, and thank you for working with us to really improve the project. And I think we can put this item back onto the full board. Can we do both preliminary and final at the next meeting? To the full board?
Seems like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you can get all the materials and you can be ready for it, come back when you're ready. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Alex.
Mr. Chairman, these architects are not normally working with us. The requirements for final are actually quite steep in terms of the number of drawings. I just want to make you aware of it. I'm sure you can get it all done, but it is it's a tough task to get there. If you want to do 2 steps, you can certainly do that as well.
But if you want to save
read
time,
the requirements. You should read the requirements for final. There's a lot of drawings there.
I just wanted to add one thing as a planner. As you're reviewing the lighting, just verify that the different lights fixtures meet the dark sky requirements in terms of the bulbs being tucked up underneath the or being hooded and shielded and directed downwards.
Yeah, there's one fixture that, let's see, I don't know, it's not on that sheet. There was another lighting one. Well, that one it doesn't, but there's another sheet that had a fixture that looked like it could be shooting up, and it's not on this sheet. So, Bill, can you scroll down? Where did I see that?
It's in the landscape lighting section down towards the bottom of the set.
Yeah. It looked like some of those wall lights don't comply, and some of the landscape lights may not either.
All right.
Because they're tilted upwards.
So please take a look at
back,
those.
go back to this lighting thing, because as I continue to look at the plan as or everybody's talking, I don't think we really need to have, I mean, I don't need to think this applicant is actually needs pathway lights right along the edge of the road, over there on that section on San Ysidro right there. Nobody's going to walk there at night, I mean, that's kind of the kind of thing which I leave up to you, but there really is. I mean, just because we have a path doesn't mean we have to have all these lights underneath the oak trees, even though they're pathway lights. Really? I live on 3 acres and I have maybe 10 pathway lights on my whole 3 acres. So that's what I really want you to look at this lighting thing.
Okay.
Thank you, Claire. So good luck.
Okay, thank you all. We really appreciate it. We'll work on the lighting and make sure we've got everything in line for both prelim and final when we come back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
Let's move on to item number 8, 1848 East Valley Road. Is the applicant online?
Yes.
Your name for the record, please. We can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me? Is it better now?
A little
Better
bit
now?
better.
A little bit better now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we last heard this item on April 16, 2020. And it is here today for preliminary approval of an addition of approximately 104 square feet to the east elevation of an existing single-family dwelling, an addition of approximately 56 square feet to the entryway, and construction of cover entry porch of approximately 37 square feet, conversion of existing attached garage to approximately 596 square feet of additional habitable space, and construction of a new attached garage of approximately 596 square feet. And this will also include exterior changes to the windows, and we did have some comments. Nice project. Some members suggest that the master bedroom closet that encroaches into a setback be re-studied. Need more clearly document plan material alongside to demonstrate that setback encroachment is properly screened And some members would like to see it setback encroachment avoided. So Sophie, you can address those comments.
Great, thank you, Chairman and Board. Good afternoon. If we could go through the first 2 pages, just to get familiar again with this project. And if we can go then to the site plan, we listened to the board's comments about the variable setback on the east setback line. We restudied that closet and we made it smaller so that it does not encroach into that 10-foot side yard setback. All the other additions, which you could see hatched in purple, are still what you'd seen last time. I believe the fire truck turnaround was on that last site plan, perhaps not, but you see that the site plan is graphically, just enhanced it so you can understand between the purple dashed circular driveway now to the kind of light gray hatched L-shaped kind of driveway. And we show construction parking, we show the washout area. So that's this site plan. If we can go on to, if we can pass through, that's the simplified floor plan, as-built floor plan, and then there's the proposed floor plan and roof plan. We do have colors called out on this next page of the elevations. I know we're here for preliminary now, but I like to get them on preliminary so I can get some feedback from the board. It is currently a plastered and brick house, waterline bricks in certain areas on the elevation. The house will be plastered. They're going with a kind of a soft white, and it's called agate. It's just a softer, not a very harsh, bright white. And then the roof material is a cal shake currently, and we're proposing a standing seam metal roof that will be a lighter gray color. And the doors and windows are changing. They're going to be aluminum clad, look a little bit more clean, contemporary. The garage doors will be aluminum with the frosted glass panels. If you have any questions along the way, but let's go on to the next page, which I have some details. And then, oops, keep going. I think next we go into the landscape plan. And Amy Blakemore is online. She could discuss those.
We wanted some documentation on item number 3 for the screening that's existing on the area between the new addition and that neighbor to the east. So those 3 photos above are taken right at the corner of that rock wall that you can see in the plan. You can see it on the bottom there, the photos, and you can see all that screening is existing and will be remaining. So it's fairly well screened there and pretty thick. Since the last time you saw the plan, we did reconfigure the driveway a little bit. The entry gate that was proposed previously has been eliminated as it sits right inside a comb easement. So we decided to eliminate that from the portion of the project at this point. And we are also proposing removal of the large acacia. Bill, if you could go up just a little bit back to the L1 sheet, number 11.
Yeah, there we go.
Page 11. If you could zoom out a little bit on the right-hand side, there's a photo that shows the existing acacia tree. If you could go over to the right a little bit. So there's a very large acacia there that it's been line-tailed over the years, and it's got a lot of weight on the outside edges of the branches, and it's hanging right over the master bedroom. They had an arborist look at it. It's got some cabling that's rather old, and they just aren't super comfortable with it being right outside the master bedroom, so they are proposing for it to be removed. We are proposing some new magnolia trees at the front of the property and solid hedging at East Valley Road to give the house some screening there as well. I think that is it.
Thank you. So back to the board for questions? Start with Sam.
I'm just want to say I appreciate the photograph showing the existing material to remain. You have the note on the landscape plan that talks about that eastern landscape area, which is nice. I don't think I have any other questions, Tip. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Don?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Bill?
No questions.
Thank you. John?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Claire?
No questions.
Thank you. So I'm going to open public comment for item number 8, 1848 East Valley Road. Sharon, do we have any letters or any?
No, thank you.
And no one's in the audience?
No one is here.
Okay. So we'll close public comments and back to the board. Bill?
Yeah, I like what you've done. I think the house looks great. I appreciate that you kind of reduced the paving in the front here and made it a nice greenscape. I think that looks great. I like the way that's working. I appreciate the fact that you also pulled it out of the setback on that side. And I like what you've done. I'd like to move it on if anybody else has any comments.
Thank you. Claire?
No, I didn't have any.
Thank you. John?
I think it's a nice project and needs to be moved on. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Don?
Yeah, I agree. It's worked out very well. Thank you.
Great. And Sam?
Yeah, I just repeat Bill's comments. Thank you for restudying the closet and pulling it back, and the landscaping kind of complements everything very nicely. So let's certainly push it ahead. Good work, both of you.
Thank you. Sam, would you like to make the motion for preliminary approval?
I'll make a motion for preliminary approval as submitted.
Second that.
And where are we going on the final?
We're final to be on consent.
That's fine with me.
I think I'll make that addition to the motion. Why not?
Hey, guys.
Good.
Sorry to do this. I just got bumped off briefly, and so I missed your comments. Would you mind repeating those for me?
Okay, Bill made the most of the comments. Bill, you would like to start over again?
Yeah, I like what I saw. It looks great. I appreciate the effort you put in reducing the landscaping in the front, or reducing the paving in the front and creating more landscape area. And appreciate you pulling the closet out of the setback. And I would propose to move it forward.
I think that's pretty much all the comments, Alex.
Thank you.
We all agreed.
So Sam made the motion with final to be on consent, and second by
Claire?
Claire, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for adjournment.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, and have a nice next 2 weeks.
Thank you all. Good job, Tip.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Good job, everybody.
Yeah.
Take care.